Thumbs up from Elijah. Let's open our Bibles this afternoon to 1 Samuel 17. I have a message today on fighting the good fight. But first I need to bring a very important update with, I believe, very biblical significance on the rather dramatic and momentous events of the just past few days in Syria. Or perhaps what we should now call what the empire is trying to transform into the northern part of Greater Israel. And perhaps there should be a separate message of its own, titled The Empire Strikes Back. Just within the past few days, in a very well-planned, lightning-fast strike that apparently neither the Russians nor the Assad regime in Syria saw coming. Russia and Iran's most important ally in the Middle East, Syria, has fallen and become conquered by the empire. Damascus has been taken. Most ancient of cities is still in existence. Most ancient of Israel's enemies, Syria, by the way. And the 24-year-long authoritarian dictatorship of Bashar al-Assad has been overthrown, with Assad and his family fleeing in an airplane. Reports indicate that his plane, transport jet, took off from Damascus shortly before HTS seized control of the airport, thus ending a 5-decade-long, heavy-handed, rather iron-fisted rule in Syria by the Assad family. This was accomplished using a very well-equipped and well-trained army of so-called Syrian rebels calling themselves Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, now commonly referred to as HTS, which is basically the latest iteration of Al-Qaeda or ISIS. And this was greatly aided and, in fact, in large part enabled by a surprise move of intrigue, deception, and treachery, actually on the part of Turkey's President Recep Erdogan against Russia, China, and BRICS, betraying the Astana Accords that Erdogan signed on to, and then instead to help train and equip the empire's proxy army, HTS. So he's trying to start to act like he's going over the BRICS side, kind of a double agent there. But HTS, this proxy army, has been funded by the United States directly through Turkey, trained by elements of U.S., British, and also Ukrainian trainers, actually. Heavily supplied with tanks, heavy armor, hundreds of what Scott Ritter says are very effective Ukrainian drones, against which Syria had no defense, reportedly operated actually, or at least assisted by Ukrainian trainers. So that's where part of the money for Ukraine has been going. Israel also supplied much of the intelligence that went into the operation, which has been planned for months. Ritter says that the plan was to wait until March to launch this attack so as to coincide with another planned Ukrainian counteroffensive against Russia and eastern Ukraine. But due to Hezbollah's recent victory over Israel's IDF forces in Lebanon, and the so-called ceasefire there, it was launched much sooner, which no doubt enhanced the element of surprise. The Syrian military quickly deployed forces with support of Russian warplanes, but was not able to stop this proxy army's very fast advance from the north. They swiftly drove the Syrian army from Aleppo and entered the cities of Hama and Homs on its way to Damascus, which finally fell last night. And so this is really a major victory and a coup for Israel and the empire. It's a major setback for Russia, Iran, and especially Hezbollah, as supply lines from Iran to Lebanon through Syria have now been severed. So that's a brief synopsis of what's taking place in Syria. We need to understand the historic and probably prophetic significance, though, of this rather, I'd call it seismic, earth-shaking development. This is really bigger than the Maidan revolution of 2014 that in Ukraine. It resulted in Russia's immediate annexation of Crimea and then led to the current Russian operation in Ukraine. Russia still maintains a strong military presence in Syria, 2 air bases, and their naval base actually on the Mediterranean Sea at Syria's seaport of Tarsus. And so I'm guessing Russia's going to protect its assets just as it did Crimea. And so World War III is taking shape and, in fact, taking place right now in between East and West, right there in the Middle East. All these forces have been brought together there. And very interestingly, just over a month before Donald Trump takes power and reclaims the White House. So these are very interesting developments. And of course, from the White House, he's promised to be Israel's deliverer. And so again, this is all about the biblical controversy of Zion. Yesterday, Trump was in Paris for the grand opening of the Roman Catholic idolatrous Cathedral of Notre Dame, the Cathedral of Mother Mary, where he had a powwow there with many of the West major leaders, including French President Macron, Britain's Prince William, Ukrainian puppet Zelensky. They were all there they all wanted to meet with Trump. And in a post on his Truth platform on Sunday, Trump called for an immediate ceasefire negotiations between Moscow and Kiev and commented on developments in Syria as well. He speculated that Assad's protector, Russia, was not interested in protecting Assad anymore, which I don't think is true. But as expected, Donald Trump, the double-crossing flip-flopper that he is and always was, repeated the big lie of the Western narrative, saying, quote, Russia lost all interest in Syria because of Ukraine, where close to 600,000 Russian soldiers lay wounded or dead, which is a lie. In a war that should never have started and that could go on forever, Trump stated, claiming Russia is currently in a weakened state because of Ukraine and a bad economy. These are lies on Trump's part. Trump's either totally oblivious to the reality on the ground or he's a bald-faced liar for the cabal, and I choose the latter hands down. Like his father, the devil, I believe we can presume almost everything Donald Trump says in days in which to come is a bald-faced lie. In truth, Russia's economy is stronger than ever, actually, but despite all the sanctions. And they have not lost over 100,000 men. But anyway, that's what's happening on the global warfare front. As Christians who live to serve the Lord Jesus, we have our own warfare to fight. It's a much different kind of warfare, but it's just as real, taking place primarily in the spiritual realm.